On top of a crumbling building in a silent New York City, we meet Robert Neville, a virologist who's been living alone for 3 years in a world gone sideways. He's a man on a mission and a routine. Every morning he scavenges for supplies, barricades his fortified home before sundown, broadcasts radio messages hoping to find other survivors, and tends to his only constant companion, a German shepherd named Sam. It's bleak, it's lonely, and yet Neville keeps himself together with stubborn discipline and the kind of optimism that borders on obsession. You can tell he's brilliant, stubborn, and painfully human. The film opens by flashing back to the day the plague hit and tells you the backstory in bite-sized pieces. A genetically engineered virus meant as a cure for cancer mutates, becomes airborne, and wipes out most of humanity, turning the infected into blind, fast, violent creatures called dark seekers. Neville, immune because of a previous failed human trial he'd administered on himself, wakes up in a city of ghosts, where abandoned cars and overgrown streets are all that remain. He's a scientist first, and a survivor second, and his main goal is to find a cure using his own blood, which seems to have antibodies capable of neutralizing the virus in infected tissue. He keeps at his work in a lab set up in his home, mixing things, testing samples, trying to grow a vaccine. The movie makes a slow-burning, methodical case for his determination. He's not a superhero. He's a man who lost his wife and daughter to the outbreak and clings to memory and routine. There's a heartbreaking scene where he watches old home videos of his family. It humanizes him in a way that action sequences alone wouldn't. He talks to mannequins to keep himself sane, patrols the empty streets with a flare gun and rifle, and marks off safe areas on a map. He's equal parts scientist and sentinel. Sam, his dog, is the emotional anchor. They play fetch in the silent city, and Sam's loyalty gives Neville a reason not to lose hope. The dog also raises the stakes. When Sam gets bitten during a raid on an abandoned apartment, Neville faces one of the film's toughest choices. He's willing to risk everything to try to save her with an experimental serum, crafting an emotional montage of frantic injections and grief. That sequence underscores how the virus eats into more than bodies. It eats into people's will to keep going. Nightfall is the real danger. The dark seekers are terrifying, nocturnal, quick, and unable to tolerate sunlight. Neville's nights are filled with alarms, barricade repairs, and close calls. They are presented as both monstrous and tragic, humans twisted by the virus, still capable of grouped behavior but devoid of reason. The tension builds as Neville tests the limits of his isolation and his ability to stay one step ahead of the infected. He improvises traps and secures his house like it's the last bastion of civilization, and that dramatizes how fragile the line between life and extinction has become for him. The turning point comes when Anna and a young boy named Ethan breach his defenses. At first, Neville is suspicious. He's seen too much, lost too much, and he's protective of his work. Anna and Ethan are different from other survivors he's heard on the radio. They bring new information, a rumored survivor colony in Vermont that might represent a chance at rebuilding society. Their arrival forces Neville out of his rigid routine and into the possibility of companionship, trust, and a future he'd stopped allowing himself to imagine. Anna's strong, practical presence and Ethan's youthful curiosity push him to reevaluate his mission. Their interactions set up some of the film's best emotional beats. Anna teaches Neville to let his guard down a little, and Ethan brings out a softer, almost paternal side in him. Still, Neville's obsession with finding a cure is unshakable. He has a lab sample that might be the key, and he's willing to risk anything to protect it, even his new friends. He shares his research, explains the science in plain terms, and asks Anna to understand why he can't just leave. If he can find a cure, he believes, that could save everyone. It's a noble aim, cloaked in a stubborn, almost stubbornly selfish need to fix what he broke.
The film doesn't linger on melodrama. It keeps moving toward a crescendo. Anna, Ethan, and Neville form an uneasy alliance to travel toward the supposed survivors, but the real threat, those dark seekers, are always waiting. Tension escalates as small compromises show the fragility of their situation. Group dynamics, trust issues, and the ever-present threat of infection. There's a grim logic to how the world works now. Daylight equals safety, night equals death, and every decision matters. The climax is intense and heartbreaking. Neville discovers that his blood does indeed contain a potential cure. The antibodies could be key to saving humanity, but the vanishingly small hope faces a monstrous counterpoint. As Neville works in his lab to synthesize a vaccine, the Darkseekers launch a coordinated attack on his fortified home. They're smarter, coordinated, and driven by the feral hunger to reclaim him, or perhaps simply to stop what he represents. Neville fights them off in desperate, inventive ways, relying on traps, weapons, and sheer will. It's cinematic, thrilling, and unexpectedly tender when he makes the final choice. In the end, Neville sacrifices himself. He drives a gasoline truck into the Horde and detonates it to give Anna and Ethan time to escape with the cure. It's tragic and heroic, and the film doesn't shy away from letting the camera linger on the emotional fallout. Anna reaches the survivor colony with Ethan and the samples, while Neville's final recordings, his constant habit of leaving notes for others, become a testament to his life's work and a plea to keep going.